So yeah, now it was very nice presentation earlier on. We learned a lot of things. Now we will gonna start ahead with the Windows Active Directory attacks. As the title indicates, we will gonna see a lot of different tech technologies like how to enumerate the users, how to how to perform the lateral movement, how to perform turbo roasting, how to perform different type of attacks, how to do the scanning of the Windows machine. So let me start with my introduction. Myself, Deepak. I also go with my alias Monal. You can follow me on my Twitter and you can watch some of my walkthroughs videos on YouTube. It is available over there. I am a cybersecurity enthusiast with 3+ years of progressive experience in vulnerability assessment and penetration testing. And on the other hand, I'm also a student who is currently doing his master's. And from the professional side, I love to do web app testing. I like mobile applications, APIs, cloud, network, the clients. And now I'm presenting you the Active Directory attacks. So here we go. So first of all, let me show you like how is the lab currently which I have set up. So I have this Windows server, I have this Windows 10 machine, and these all are in the same network. To be honest, we don't have to what do you say? We don't have to uh, do the pivoting attacks over here because just to make it minimal, I have kept all the machines in a single lab. And here comes our attacker. So basically, attacker already has access in a network, and from there he has to get the hash, he has to perform the attacks, he has to identify different sort of vulnerabilities and such. So let's start with a small information, like small introduction about what exactly is this AD. Okay, so this is basically how our AD machine looks like. This I have installed in my VMware. Uh, this is the Windows Server 2016, and major stuff is over here. So all the Windows Server comes with the by default server manager. So as you can see over here, and I have created couple of users in this machine just to be clear that we get different roles over here, and we can identify different users. We can identify the passwords, and then we can move from one user to another user and so. So there are a couple of users such as TV Griffin, Peter Griffin, Chris Griffin. So if I zoom in over here, so these are a couple of the users. There are a couple of the attacks as well. So basically, what exactly is this Active Directory? Okay, so Active Directory is nothing but you can count it as a mechanism which helps you to log in into your machine if a machine is connected in a domain. Okay, so in a normal corporate world, what happens that they don't use the normal Windows authentication mechanism because at the end of the day, it is vulnerable. Why it is much more vulnerable authentication mechanism? Because all our credentials are stored in a SAM and system files, and most of the time, Windows uses the not most of the time, majorly Windows uses the NTLM-based authentication, which is pretty much easier to capture, which is pretty much easier to break the hashes. So NTLM is like within a snap of a finger, I can break the hash, like the hash, and get the user's password. So uh, nowadays, what people do basically in an organization, they have implemented the Active Directory over there. They have implemented a domain, and that domain basically is like a tree, I would say. And just like how trees have multiple branches, I can say the multiple computers connected in the branches are similar to the trees, and those computers, those multiple systems do get authenticated. I mean, they get verified by the AD whether the provided credentials are correct or not. And if the credentials are correct, then later on they are able to access the machine as in their own system. But here also, during the authentication process, there are multiple vulnerabilities which we will gonna look in our 2 hours long session. Okay, so now AD also has couple of different things such as different groups are there, pre-built groups are there, such as schema admins, enterprise admins, then DNS admin is also there, domain admin. There are multiple different groups available, and these groups comprises of different sort of users. Like let's suppose there is an admin user, there is a Stevie Griffin user, which I have already showed you over here. Stevie Griffin, Peter Griffin, SQL service, administrator, Chris Griffin. There are multiple users over there. So these users are basically are located in a certain set of groups. For example, admin user will be available in the administrator group, whereas there might be a possibility that the Steven Griffin user is available in administrator group or not. I mean, I'm not sure. For that purpose, we will have to enumerate it. Okay. Apart from the users, apart from the groups, we can also see in this section that currently there are two machines over here. There are two machines which are currently joined with my PD. I have joined these two machines, out of which one is somewhat okay level Windows machine, and one is the way legacy Windows machine. So once we are once we do the enumeration, we will get to know like exactly versions, what versions are there. And for a quick reference, let me quickly show you the administrator. So the administrator is the member of administrative group. He's a member of domain admin. He's also a domain user. He's a enterprise admin. He's also schema admin and much more stuff. So let's start with our attack. So basically how we will gonna move ahead. So these are the agenda for today's session. So we will look out for different steps such as we'll check how we can get the initial foothold on a machine. After that, we will enumerate what are the juicy stuffs which are available on that machine, not the domain enumeration, but the local enumeration. Like let's say I compromise a Windows machine and I will then go ahead and look for different stuffs, different important stuffs, I would say, such as passwords, any sensitive information which is stored in the machine or not, or whether the machine is joined to a AD or not. That we will gonna check. Then later on, we will also check whether that machine which I have compromised, whether it is vulnerable to any kind of attacks, any kind of CVs are there or not, any sort of local privilege installation are there or not. That we're gonna check in local enumeration. Later on, we will check for the domain enumeration. Like suppose we get to know that my machine is joined with the AD. Then our important stuff comes into the picture, like domain enumeration. From that point of time, we will enumerate different sort of activities, like what are the different domain admins which are available on this computer, what is the name of the domain, what are different domain groups available, and many more stuffs. Then later on, we will look out on the lateral movement part. Then after lateral movement, we will gonna get the access of the DC machine. Then from there, there are a couple of other attacks such as domain privilege escalation as well as domain persistence. So here we go. In the initial attack phase, there are a couple of things which I am planning to do. So the first one will be the host scanning, then LLM poisoning or SMB relay attack, you can say, RDP, MITM attacks, then phishing, HTA attacks, and a couple of more. So before proceeding with our host scanning, there is one thing which I wanted to share, which is creating a username. Like let's suppose we got the access of a network, and that network is not just a normal network. That network is a domain network. Okay. Now our goal is to compromise the machine. So here is our challenge, because if we want to compromise the AD, we will have to look out for the credentials, and that credentials will definitely gonna be the normal user credentials, domain admin credentials, as well as other service account credentials. So this AD thing or AD exploitation, you can say, is entirely based upon the credentials, to be very honest, because until and unless you don't get any sort of credentials, any low user credentials, you won't be able to move from one machine to another machine, or you won't be able to even compromise a machine at all most of the time. So we can use couple of different tools such as name match, linking to username, and crosslink.py. So basically what these two uh, py Python file does is that it checks the LinkedIn of a particular company, and it identifies like XYZ number of users are available, their accounts as well as their name, their first name as well as last name. And in Active Directory, most of the time, whatever users are stored in, whatever users are created in, they are in a format. I mean, for example, uh, just a sec. Yeah, so let's suppose that myself is Deepak Yadav. So how my name will gonna stored in the AD? It will gonna store it as Deepak.Yadav or else Deepak.Y. There might be a possibility that my name will gonna store as D.Yadav. So what we will have to do, like let's suppose we got all the usernames from the LinkedIn and Hunter website. Then from there, we will have to rearrange the username in a format which should be something like this: user.name or u.name or whether user.n. Because in this way only AD stores the user information. As we can also see over here, this user is, let's suppose, Chris Griffin. Okay, but the account name, if I zoom in, it is Chris.Griffin. So this is the way how AD stores the user's information. Most of the time, it can be c.griffin, it can be chris.g, or it can be chris.griffin. Okay, and let's suppose we got the username. Now, one of the cool trick I recently identified, which was we can generate a user password, which we can later on use to perform the brute force attack using Hashcat. That was quite interesting for me. So let me show you how that is possible. A real quick. Okay, so I'm going over here and let's yeah. So for the record, I am having these two password, which is password and Rini. Instead of Rini, let's suppose I am entering admin. Okay, I have these two password in my repository in my system. Now what I have to now what I want to create a password word list. Why I want to create a password word list? Because I don't know whether there are any special characters in my password or not. I don't know whether there are some alphabetical characters. I'm not sure. I mean, in the beginning, is there any alphabetical or special characters or numerical characters? I'm not aware of. At the end of the password, is there any sort of such things? I'm not aware of that also. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the hashtag to generate a word list based on these two credentials, which is based on these two passwords, which is password and admin. So what I have to do, I have to create a rule for that. So over here, as you can see, I have mentioned a couple of things such as $1, $2, $3, and C. C denotes that the first letter of my password should be in capital, and the $1 denotes that one should be entered at the end of the password. For example, suppose my password is password. So if I enter $1, then what Hashcat will gonna do? Hashcat will gonna add pass one at the end of this password. So it will gonna be like password one. Similarly, I have this $2, I have this $3, and this C. So what Hashcat will gonna do? Hashcat will gonna replace this password with capital P password 123, then capital P password 12, capital P password 1. Similarly, what we can do, we can also add one more parameter, which is a special characters, such as this. I'm writing at the rate, then $1, $2, $3. I want it in capital as well. And at the same time, I don't want any capital letters, but I want this at the rate symbol. So for that, at the rate $1, $2, $3. Now, the reason why I am doing this is because while doing the password spray attack or a brute force attack for a normal uh, domain user with using crackmap execute, what happens is that we have the n number of word list. That a word list comprises of millions of passwords, and we can't manually go ahead and enter all these stuffs like add the trailing at the rate 123 on each of the password. We can't do that manually. So better leave this job to hashtag. So now I have my password, which is this password and admin. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use this hashtag to generate the password as per my rule. So the syntax of that is, let me clear it quick. So the syntax for that is hashtag icon R. I'm gonna pass the rule file and std out with my pass.txt. What will, so let's wait for a couple of seconds. Yeah. So as you can see, earlier on my password was comprises of these two things, which is password and admin. But later on, I got this P capital password at rate 123, then P small password at rate 123, password 123, password 2, then password admin, same for admin. So similarly, in this way, we can generate our whole password, which has these special characters. Okay. Now let's go back to our important stuff. Before proceeding with the LLM and poisoning, let's first identify what are the different ports open in our ready machine. I'm gonna use our well-known operating system, which is nothing but Kali Linux. So just a second, let me quickly minimize all this thing. Okay, and I you yeah, there it is. Uh, okay, all right, and here is my PC. So first, let me do the nmap scan hyphen sp for my network. So as I stated earlier that I am in the network only. Network as in the setup which I have made is something like this. So attacker is also a part of the domain network. So basically what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna perform the nmap scan just to check with how many hosts are up, and I'm gonna use my Kali machine. So where are you? Yeah, let's mute. So here it is. As you can see, there are a couple of different IP addresses which I can see is available in my network. Uh, it is always a better thing to manually verify it. Why? Because I'm demonstrating the lab. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna do the manual verification. But for an attacker or for a user, if they are doing this post scanning, what they have to do, they have to manually perform all the port scanning on all the IP addresses which they have identified over here. But one more thing which I am able to see is this. So the nmap basically it gives me the domain name following the IP address. So by this, I can make sure that this IP address is my domain IP address because I can see my domain name over here. Let's quickly verify it. IPconfig. So yeah, it is 0.4. So now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead and do a small basic scan. Map iPhone 4. I want this to finish 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so I got this 139 port, port number 135, 53, which is domain, 3389 RDB port is also open, SMB is open. Some unnecessary ports are also open, which is port 9666, and let's wait. What more information we can get? Let's see. So we have this one more port, which is 5985. So this basically is the WinRM. So at the end of the day, if we get any of the credentials, what we can do, we can pass the credentials, not pass the credentials, basically we can use that credential to gain the access using WinRM. And same we can perform it with SMB by using BlackMap execute. We have PS execute as well. and we have Kerberos available over here. Okay. Mm, Uh, at the same time, let's do one more thing. I'm gonna run enum for users without the user because I don't, as of now, I don't know the user. So let's run it without any user detail and see what we get. Okay, so these are the ports which are open, 53, 38, and above. Okay, and without credentials, as we can see, I'm not able to see any important information over here, except for the fact that I got this domain SID, which is this, and host is a part of a domain, not a workbook group. Yes, that we already know because Nmap gave me the domain name. And later on, you can see status access denied. Why? Because I don't have any sort of credential. Probably. Okay. And let's do one thing. Now that I don't have any sort of credential, I am basically stuck over here. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead with my next attack. Not, I won't call it as an attack, but I'm gonna sniff or catch different set of password hashes from the user. And that sort of attack is gonna sell in poisoning, or you can also say it as SMB relay. So what exactly happens over here is that me as an attacker, what I'm going to do, I'm going to broadcast LLMNR queries to all the IP addresses which are available in the network. And if they go ahead and if they try to access my IP address, then I will get the specific hashes. So let's do that. For doing so, we can quickly use responder tool as I'm using a Kali Linux, but the same can be done by using Invei tool, which is INVEIGH. Invei is also a good tool to capture the hashes, but I'm going to use responder, which is my favorite. Okay, so sudo responder hyphen I. I'm going to run it on my Ethernet 0. And over here, as you can see, uh, by default, not by default, but I have enabled my HTTPS server as well as my SMB server for the same. And later on, what I'll do, I'll start my normal Windows machine. Okay. I don't want to see reviews now. I don't want. What is my IP? I still haven't got any of the IP. Let me close this. Okay, now I have my IP address, which is 192.168.0.156. No worries. I'm gonna restart my attack with the responder, and instead of file explorer, let's suppose I go ahead and do run, and I'm trying to access my Kali machine, for example. So over here, uh, see, I haven't provided the credentials, but I got the details over here. I haven't provided any sort of credentials at all in this box, but still I got the credentials. So now our next step, what it will gonna be, it will be to crack this hash so that we can get a credential of Peter Griffin user. Credentials as in password of Peter Griffin user. As I earlier stated that PD attack are mainly focuses on authentication. Why authentication? Because without user ID password, I want to be able to do a lot of things. So now let's go ahead and try to crack the hash. And I'm gonna use hashcat, and this hash is of Peter.Griffin. So Peter.hash. Let me paste it over here, and we will gonna crack it. So this one is of NTLM version 2 hash. Let's grab it and hashcat that TLM. Okay, so we have couple of different things. We will not gonna use this one. We will use 5600 because this is what we needed. Hashcat hyphen name module will be 5600 because it will gonna denote that we are going to go ahead and write the net NTLM version 2 hash, and I'm gonna pass this Twitter.json hash following the word list. So now over here, earlier on I showed earlier on we saw a small example like how we can create different sort of password. So uh, instead of me going ahead and creating all the password, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna simply use these rocky.txt. Why? Because I have deliberately created these vulnerable machines. So I'm gonna use this rockq. And yeah, one more thing. In this rockq.txt file, in this word list, I have made some couple of changes. Like I have added some couple of passwords following the special characters, following the numerical characters, and many more things. So this is a little bit different from the one which we get on the internet. So let's go ahead and crack the hash, and it will gonna take a couple of minutes, or it will gonna take a couple of hours also, depending upon whether my password is available in that word list or not. So let's wait. At the same time, if I go ahead, I don't know what is here. As I can see, my CPU utilization is nearing 100%. That means, okay, and here we go. Like now we got this password. Again, this password is pretty basic. So this is one of the important lesson, like don't use simple credentials at all. Okay, because if you use the simple credential, any user or attacker will be able to guess, not guess, but create the password list and later on can use it for further attacks. Okay, now I'm gonna use this credential which is test at the rate 123. Let me write it down over here. Uh, Twitter.griffin, whose password is test at the rate 123. All right. Let's try to use psexec. Psexec. I don't want this. We back at psexec. Instead of going ahead with test.griffin, I'm going to use twitter.griffin because that's the credential which I have. And the password is nothing but test at the rate 123. Copy it, paste it over here, and boom. I am the NT authority of a domain controller, but this is not the end. This is just one of the example like how we can capture the credentials, how we can crack the hashes, and later on we can use it to gain the access. Now, one important thing to note over here is that we directly got the NT authority. I mean, basically what happens in AD is that there are certain level of privileges. There are certain set of users available in AD, such as a guest user is there. There will gonna be a normal user. There will gonna be a admin user, and on the top of that, there will be the NT authority. So NT authority is like the king of every user or of every privileges. So how do we got this NT authority directly? So let's check who exactly is this Peter Griffin. What sort of role does he has? So this Peter Griffin is a domain admin. He is a domain user. He is an enterprise admin as well as he is also administrator. See, so there are a couple of things over here. So in that sense, we easily got the NT authority. But I am gonna exit it for now because there are a couple of more things to explore. Just to make sure I have entered the credentials over here so that I can get the information that this is the NT authority. How we got this NT authority? NT authority with the help of psexec. Now let's go ahead and do other sort of our attacks. Now RDP MITM. This one is quite interesting because this RDP MITM attacks specifically targets a certain user. Okay. Now suppose you are in a network and you identified a lot of users in a network, and in the LinkedIn also you went ahead and you saw their name and following their faces, so you remember that this user is this, that user is that, and the same user you are seeing them in your network, not in your network, but because they are in their network only, you are the one who is available in the network, so you see them over there and you wanted to target them. Why you want to target them? Because on the LinkedIn or on the any social media platform or any professional platform, you saw that those users are non-IT users. Basically, they are accountant or basically they are HR and other stuff. So at that point of time, this RDP MITM comes into the picture. Okay. Now, suppose that I am targeting this Peter Griffin user only. Okay. So what happens over here is in RDP MITM, we will gonna use a tool known as SETH. Set. That tool, what it does, it basically downgrades the connection in order to extract the clear text credential. Okay, so we will gonna poison the network, and we will specifically gonna not poison the network, but we will gonna poison the RDP traffic of that particular user, and we will gonna get the credentials of that user. Okay. How to do it? We can simply go ahead and git clone this SATH. Then this is the command how we can use it. So let me quickly go in my file and let me check whether I have this set. Okay, I do have. So this is the command sath.sh. I'm going to use my interface, and here will be the Kali IP address. Let me check mine. And yeah, on the top of that, like while performing the RDP MITM attack, I'm gonna skip this one. I'm gonna stop this because it will gonna create some interference. So my IP is nothing but 107. Yeah. So I'm gonna use 192.168.0.7. Then I want to target the victim. Now, what is my victim's IP address? It is nothing but uh, it was 192.168.0.156. Okay. So 192. Sorry. 192.168.0.156. Correct? Yeah, correct. Then what we have, I will have to enter this DCIP, domain IP, which is nothing but 192.168.0.4. And here we go. Okay. And here we go. Waiting for SYN packets to the original destination. So see, now what we did, we targeted this specific IP address, which is nothing but Peter Griffin's IP address. So whenever Peter Griffin goes ahead and tries to access the domain controller via RDP, at that point of time, he will gonna get some pop-ups like the certificate error messages. And why he is getting that certificate error message? Because I have used this tool set which downgrades the RDP uh, connection, or you can say encryption mechanisms. So now this Peter Griffin, what this guy will gonna do? This will going to do the RDP, and this Peter Griffin will gonna try to access the domain controller, and we can have a look parallel like what we will see now. Okay. So as you can see that it is cloning the X509 certificate. It is running the RDP proxy, downgrading authentication options, enabling SSL, and much more stuff. Now here, Peter Griffin has to enter his own password, which is nothing but test@123. Okay. Now, once this user clicks on OK, he will going to get this certificate issue. And normally in network, what happens that a user generally clicks on the yes button before going ahead and viewing the certificate. They just go ahead and click on yes. Why? Because in this certificate, I can see a couple of interesting stuffs which are legitimate, such as the DC IP address and the domain name. And in the error message, it says the server name on the certificate is incorrect. The certificate is not from the trusted certifying authority. Most of the time, user just neglects it because they are in a hurry to access their domain controller. So if I go ahead and click on the yes, it says that this computer cannot access the remote controller. User might get frustrated at this point of time and he will gonna go ahead and try to access the machine again. And on the second attempt, if the splitter griffin goes ahead and checks, tries to access this machine, it says that this could not be due to CRED SSP encryption oracle remediation and authentication error has been occurred. Okay. So at this point of time, he will get to know that yes, he won't be able to RDP into that machine. But for the attacker, hopefully he got the credentials in clear text, which is this, yeah, over here. So this is one of the way through which attacker can access the clear text credentials. And yeah, same. This credential is similar to the one which we cracked from NTL and hash. So the story will gonna be the similar. I can do DPS execute and I can get the NT authority pretty quickly. Next up, we have this phishing. So for this demonstration, unluckily or unfortunately, I'm not going to use any of these phishing techniques. But I have mentioned a couple of them, such as phishing with Microsoft Office. There are a couple of Office CVs available in the market. So if the targeted machine, the user sitting on that machine haven't updated his or her Microsoft Office, then there is a possibility that we can use the CVs available in the market, and at the end of the day, we can get the access of the machine. Apart from that, there are a couple of other stuffs such as net and TLMV2 hash stealing using Outlook. Yes, it is possible. And on the Outlook web access also, we can do password spraying attack. But for that, we will have to have a password and a list of different users. Coming up with our next attack, which is HTA and GS attack. So what happens over here is that we use the HTA file to get the reversal of any of the machine, whether it can be domain controller or it can be Windows. So what exactly is this HTA? HTA comprises of the HTML uh, as well as scripting language. Now, when I say scripting language, it means it is a JavaScript. And with the help of this HTML and JavaScript, what we will be doing is we will be getting the reversal. And how we can do it, it is pretty much easy. Like we can create a HTF file using MSF Venom. We will have to transfer this file into a Windows machine. And from that, we can get back the reversal once the user clicks on that HTF file. But do note one important thing that this HTF file is we can run this file only when the machine has MSHTA installed. If the machine is not having MSHTA or if the machine is missing MSHTA, then we won't be able to execute it at all. But at the same time, what I have observed is that we can use Explorer, Internet Explorer, the old Internet Explorer, to execute this HTA file and to get the reversion. Again, conditions apply that either there should be MSHTA file available on the machine, there should be Internet Explorer available, which By default, Microsoft wanted it, they just scrap it out and replace it with Microsoft Edge. So over here also, as you can see, I have this Internet Explorer available, but in my Windows, no matter how hard I try, I will not gonna find Internet Explorer at all. Instead, it got replaced with Microsoft Edge. And at the same time, in my machine, I have observed this one thing that this machine doesn't have NSHTA at all. Okay, so see Windows now system. Okay, I want system 32. Please, here we are. And I'm gonna search for MSHTA. So as we can see, I have this MSHTML, but I don't have this MSHTA. Now let's go ahead on our AD just to confirm whether this machine also has MSHTA installed or not. Use items on users around Windows system 32 and let's check. So this machine do has MSHTA available. Wow. So now we can perform HTA based attack, but again, I'm not going to do so as of now because there are a couple of more interesting stuffs down the line. And with the help of JS also, like this is the JavaScript code, we can enter the PowerShell payload over here and we can transfer this JS file into the machine. And once the user clicks on this JS file, uh, we get the reverse connection back. Okay. And apart from this, there is one interesting stuff which most of the time nowadays attackers are what you can say the APT attackers or the threat actors they use, which is using the LNK file. So LNK file is nothing but a shortcut file where they are executing HTA without having HTA extension. So what are those LNK basically? So these files are created by the Windows automatically whenever a user opens a file. These files are used by operating system to secure quick access to a certain file, which is again a shortcut file. And there is one hidden side of this shortcut file, which is that it has the capability to execute command. Command as in, we will gonna have a small demonstration of it, like what I'm trying to say when I say it has the capability to execute command. So, a couple of examples are here, like with the LNK file, what I can do, I can go ahead quickly and I can execute the CMD. From the CMD, I can try to execute PowerShell, and from there we can drop a normal rat and other stuff. At the same time, with the help of LNK, which is a shortcut, what I can do, I can download remote SCT file, and again that SCT file will gonna have the capability to download the dropper, and dropper will gonna send my connection to attack. Then we have interesting stuff which is docs, docx. With the help of docx also, we can create an LNK file, and with that LNK we can download the remote HTA, and that HTA will gonna execute the PowerShell, and PowerShell will gonna send me the reverse shell. Pretty easy. Let's have a small demonstration like how we can do so. So uh, what we have to do basically over here, we have to create a small malicious exe file. Okay. So now let's go back to our Kali machine, which is available over here. Yes. Let me create a malicious file. My IP is 107. Okay. And yes, one more thing. For this demonstration, I have disabled all the antiviruses because the focus is not to bypass the antivirus, but to understand the different attacks which are there for Active Directory. And as of now, we are still on the initial attack phase. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a small uh, malicious file. And at the same time, what is my condition? I'll have to create a shortcut file as well. So let me create a shortcut of what? Microsoft Edge. Uh, are you available over here? We got this. Hello? Okay, it is on desktop. Desktop. We got this inshallah. For now, I'm gonna remove this SAM system. Okay, to get it to install, I will have to transfer it and I will have to start my listener at the same time, which is on 9001. So we will have to create a shortcut file. So what I did as of now, I created this shortcut by manually going ahead and right clicking it and getting the shortcut at the same time. What one can do, one can also do this thing. Like they can go ahead and enter this following command. So what this command will going to do, this command will going to create a shortcut following the URL from where the install.exe should be downloaded. So this over here, my second line. So I'm renaming it as malicious.lnk. Okay, done. Now window style, I'm setting it as 7. Okay. Then I'm entering the PowerShell location. Use and this is little bit longer command which I will need to modify it. Yeah, okay, probably no. All right, it accepted, and I'll have to save the link. So I am saving the link.save. Enable unauthorized access. Why so unable to save the shortcut malicious link? Why so? This shouldn't have had happened. Dollar dot save void 0. Okay, let me start it one more time. Again, malicious. Then I have this window style, target path of what happened. I don't want to bear it. After target path, we have this link argument. Yeah, link argument. Uh, okay, okay. Now I understood. Where is the problem? There is a small space between this install. So I believe probably that was the reason why it was not working. Okay, so this is some of the headaches which you have to face. The desktop, this is done, this is also done. I am setting this file. I am using this PowerShell.exe. Now comes the important part, which is the argument. I'm gonna copy this one. Um, Not here, here. Hopefully this should work. And dollar link dot save. Probably this should be the command. Yeah, link dot save. And again, unauthorized access. Okay. One last row. All right. Then we have this target path. should work. This argument dot string and okay. Ah, unauthorized access exception. What if we go ahead and try to get this shortcut using admin access? I mean, this is one of the last try. Let's try with this. Uh, Users, Twitter different and desktop. All right, this. Then I have to specify window style and and our argument. Hopefully this works. Otherwise, I'll have to manually go ahead and do all these stuff now. Hmm, yeah, everything is fine till now. Save. Okay, so uh, with having administrative access, I am able to save it, but it's in desktop. Uh, why? Okay, it got saved in Chris Griffin's desktop. Very good. I am a fool. Big one because over here I have mentioned Chris Griffin username and I am blindly searching on this Peter Griffin's desktop. Let me go back to that user. User Chris Griffin. I probably should have the access. Please. Okay, I'm on the desktop. As you can see, I have this malicious file present over here. Okay, so till now, as one can see in our script over here, I have mentioned a couple of things such as download this install.exe file and then execute it. So as of now, I haven't executed this shortcut, but so I am not able to see any sort of traffic over here, which clearly means that I'm not going to get the shell as of now. Let's quickly go ahead and check like what exactly is this shortcuts property. And here you can see that, oh, okay. Here you can see that all the PowerShell syntax which we mentioned in the argument, it got stored in this target parameter in the target input field. And at the same time, what we can do, we can quickly go ahead and change the way how this LMK file should look like. Do we have the option? Okay, no worries. So we can quickly go ahead now and click on this exe file. So as you can see, I got one connection in my HTTP server, which means the file got downloaded. And where is my NC? Okay, so the Windows Defender detected it. Let me quickly go ahead and disable my Defender because I'm not going to bypass it. It will going to take a couple of hours, which we don't have. Settings, simple reality virus. Remove this installed.exe file. Come on, come on, come on. This is why I don't like to do this because it takes and takes and takes a lot of time to do a simple activity and unexpected error occurs. Let it be. So execute it again. Malicious file. Again, we got this install button. Now user has to click the yes. So this is the way it is. And here we can see that we got the connection from 192.168.0.107. And if I go ahead and enter human, I will not gonna get anything because I have to use MSX console. So clearly by doing this, what we can see, we can uh, get the reversal without using HTTP file just by using LNK file. So this is how it is. Okay. Now next up we have this password spray attack. Like earlier on, I mentioned that we can do password spray using crack map execute. And for password sprays, we can do it on assemblies. We can use WinRM. We can also use the password spray for RDP. We can also do it for LDAP. But here is the important thing. For RDP, uh, like uh, I mean for SMB, WinRM as well as for LDAP, we can use hash as well to log in into the machine or to get the information. But at the same time, we can't use hash to access the RDP machine because RDP most of the time specifically requires credentials, username and password. So now what we're gonna do, we will gonna do a little bit of fun activity, which is password spray. And before this password spray, let me quickly go ahead and check my account details. We just minimize Kali and net accounts. So over here, as you can see, my minimum password age is day one, password each maximum 42. Lockout threshold is never. That means I can easily go ahead and perform the brute force attack. But if my lockout threshold was set to, like, let's suppose 1, 2, or 3, then that means that after 3 incorrect attempts, my account will gonna get logged out for like how many minutes? For this 30 minutes. So again, one of the misconfigurations. So it is mandatory to have this lockout threshold set to 3, 4, 5, whatever the user policy or the organization policy specifies us. Let me check it on this machine also. Net accounts and same lockout threshold is set to no and lockout duration is 10. So over here, it means that uh, if my account got locked, then I have this 10 minutes. So I'll have to sit idle for 10 minutes and then we can get the another chance to log in. Let's go ahead and quickly perform our attack with crack map exec. I don't want this and I don't want this either. Crack map execute, what is my syntax? So we will gonna target this SMB first. And as we already have the password for twitter.griffin user and me, what I did a small side activity. I went ahead on the LinkedIn and I identified a couple of different users. I created a username file and now I'm gonna go ahead and do the password spray attack. Okay, back to my Kali and looking at you. Track map exec. I just want to see now. SMB DCIP hyphen U. Instead of specifically specifying the username, I will specify the user bodies. Do I have any? Users list, user list, user list. No, let me create it. Then users.txt. So Twitter dot Griffin, Stevie dot Griffin. Then we have this test user, we have administrator, administrator. Then we have me, myself as a user. I'm gonna use my full name now. And we have this test, SQL SVC and MS SQL user. What else? Guest user and mm, Kevin dot Hart. I mean, I'm not trying to make fun of Kevin Hart, but I am knowingly doing some changes in his, what you can say, in his name. Let me create this word list. I mean, it should be HARTH, but instead I'm using the HEART part. Part as well as part. Okay. So, let me see. Now we will go ahead and perform the password spread attack on the username which I have created. So I'm not gonna use this continue on success now because I wanted to show you that once the CrackMap Excel got the correct password then of the first user, then what it will gonna do? It will gonna stop at that moment only. It will not gonna go ahead and try to brute force the other user's credentials. So see over here, it got the Peter Griffin's credentials as test, so it didn't went ahead and check for other users. So if we want to do a proper password spread attack for all the users, we will have to use this parameter which is and continue on success. Now let's see what happens. Yeah. So over here you can see that we got this word keyword font on Peter.Griffin user, but we haven't got that syntax on Stevie Griffin. But at the same time, we can see that there is this plus symbol. Now, why there is a difference that we haven't got this font on Peter Griffin? Why we haven't got this font on Stevie Griffin, but we got this on Peter is because Peter is the domain admin as well as Stevie Griffin should not be the domain admin. Let's go ahead and check it. Stevie.Griffin, who are you? See, over here, Stevie.Griffin is just a domain user. But at the same time, this Peter.Griffin is domain admin. That's why it is showing me as font, PWNED. Otherwise, people might use it in other way. So, Peter.Griffin is the administrator, domain admin, domain user, as well as enterprise admin. So, now we got one more user, which is Stevie.Griffin, whose credentials is similar as Peter.Griffin. Again, important note, don't repeat the credentials. Don't use same credentials for different accounts because if one got compromised, there is a high possibility that other user might also get compromised. And what did I put here? Just to say I have disabled my antivirus, correct? Now I should. I don't like Windows at all. It is way slow. Okay, it is off. Time for protection. I'm going to turn it off as well because I'm not going to bypass it. It will going to take a lot of time. Yeah, back to our topic. We have TV Griffin as well. STEW is TV Griffin. Now, let's do a small activity like let's use this credential to have the access of the domain controller by using this TV Griffin PS exec. I don't want hash. I want a password which is Let's type it 123 and Stevie.Griffin. Stevie. Okay. Let's not pass the password. So over here, as you can see, we got a couple of errors such as error opening SVC manager, error performing the installation, and other stuff. So why that PS Execute was not able to gain the access was because Stevie Griffin is not at all admin user, whereas Peter.Griffin is admin user. And while using PSExec on Twitter, I will going to get the NT authority. See over here, who am I? Is NT authority and my host name is DCCO. So this was done for SMB. Let's try a couple of other things for WinRM also because we did saw that 5985 port was open. Okay, and instead of SMB, what I'm going to use WinRM. Come on, come on, come on. Yeah, again, similar stuff like uh, for Peter Griffin, it is on for Stevie.Griffin. So here is an interesting stuff for Stevie.Griffin. Now, when I am trying to do the password spray for WinRM, it is showing me a red minus, which means there is an error. Okay, it simply indicates that by using WinRM, I won't be able to access. I won't be able to access this Stevie Griffin, whereas by using WinRM, I can access Peter Griffin. So this is what I can do. Now let's move forward with local enumeration. So now that let's suppose that we have the access of a user. Okay. And now what we're gonna do, we will do some couple of local enumerations attack. And nowadays what happens in a corporate world is that while doing the AD audit or AD pen testing, a lot of time vendors what they do, they give us the scenarios like were already present in our network. Now you have to do the audit or you have to do the pen testing. Whereas there are a couple of other things also when we talk about AD pen testing, which is the pure black box approach. Now, what do I mean by black box approach? I mean the pen tester will not be given any sort of access to the network at all. They will have to bypass the security checks on the front gate of the company. They will have to carry the laptop inside the network, connect the laptop into the network, and then later on they will have to capture the hashes by using Winway, Responder, and other things. And they will have to gain the access of a user, do local enumeration, domain enumeration, and go ahead. So now what we are assuming is that we already have a local account, but not the local account. In our scenario, we have definitely got the domain admin. We compromise the domain admin, but for the demonstration purpose, let's do a couple of local enumeration also. So there are a couple of things such as local user and groups enumeration, network enumeration. We will gonna check whether AV is enabled or disabled. I know antivirus is disabled, but suppose someone is doing this enumeration, they won't know it. Then we have this local vulnerability identification, local privilege escalation, and machine. So here are a couple of syntaxes. And again, these syntaxes are not by default syntaxes. So I'm going to use a tool known as PowerView. And there is one more tool which is AD Recon. I'm going to use it later on. But for now, let's go ahead with uh, PowerView now. And I'm going to use this. Let me close this administrator now. And yeah, font. I do have a problem with my font. Should be, yeah, this is proper. Who am I? Again, UAP Peter Griffin. Do I have power view? Come on. I don't want this. What the hell? Configuration. Do I have power view? Power view? Power view? Yeah, I do have this power view. So let me import it pretty quickly. For that, there are a couple of things. By using a couple of ways, we can import a PowerShell file by using import module power view. Or at the same time, what I can do, I can simply use this dot, single dot, and then I can specify this power view file. But I cannot do it. Why so? Import module again. Okay. PowerShell. Uh, set set execution policy to bypass. Yes. And I get this error. Why? Because access to the registry, this PowerShell is denied. No worries. We can use another method, which is PowerShell EP bypass. And here we go. And now let's import PowerView. And our import was successful. Now let's check what are the things which I have. Let me replace it. Okay. So what are the different privileges which I have? That is set on privilege, which is disabled. So only one privilege is enabled for me, which is change notify privilege, which I don't think so. I'm going to utilize it for local privilege escalation. All right. What more do we have? Other commands, such as we have this net accounts, net users, net accounts would want to give me this information like lockout thresholds, password histories, length of password history maintained, minimum password length, maximum password age and all, lockout all mechanism. Now, let's suppose I have to check my own user. And again, as of now, I have imported this Power View very early because at the same time, once we are done with the local enumeration, we will gonna move ahead with the domain enumeration. So now quickly, let's cover up this local enumeration part. So who am I? I'm Peter Griffin. Uh, okay, Peter Griffin is not available. Administrator. Okay, so for administrator, what do I have? Account active, no. All right, account expires. You're gonna get expired. Password last set was on what happened? Password last set was on 16th, which I believe is today. Password changeable on 17th. Last log on never. These are a couple of things. What about my local group? Let local group. See, I got this many local group informations. Like there are this many local groups available, administrator, backup operators, device owners, guest, and others. What about net local group members? Now, net local group members, I want to check the members of this administrator group. What exactly do we have in administrators? So, as you can see, this machine, if I am not wrong, my host name is ns01. So, uh, this administrator MS01 machine is a part of administrator local group as an administrator, and the test user is also a part of this administrative group, and the other are UAP domain admins, which are whose principal name is Active Directory. Then we have other users such as Peter Griffin, Stevie Griffin, and more. Now, let's check this other stuff, such as do we have to perform any sort of pivoting or not? There shouldn't be this scenario to pivot. Yeah, okay. So we don't have to pivot it at all. Actually, I do have to pivot it because I have this Ethernet adapter one. I have this normal Ethernet adapter. And let's see if conditions applies, we will gonna do some network pivoting and other stuff. But for the record now, let's quickly enumerate this network. Like what are the network shares do I have available? So I have this W shares. I am able to see this IPC share, admin shares, and this W share. Apart from that, let's check this firewall. Not, I mean, this command is basically used to disable the firewall, which we have already done. Still, let's copy paste it just to check what do we get. Is it here? So we can see that the requested operation requires elevation. So until and unless we don't get the administrative access, not administrative, but the local admin access of a machine, we won't be able to disable the firewall. Now let's go ahead and check whether the antivirus is disabled or not, which I believe it is. Okay, there are a lot of information available over here. And things spyware enabled true to what exactly I'm looking. Yeah. So over here, as you can see, is tamper protected false, which we have disabled it. Then on access protection is also false, quick scan overdue, false, okay, no problem at all. Real-time protection is what we need. So real-time protection is set to false, which means my depender is turned off properly. And again, this command is used to disable the real-time monitoring as well as disable IOEV protection. Let's check whether we have this IOEV protection. It is false. That means it is also disabled. And real-time protection was also disabled. So we don't have to disable it now. Let's check for some interesting informations, like whether this machine has anything interesting for us or not. Come on, copy. Okay. Why so? Reimbursement. Okay, I only want this
You have 30 minutes left. Just
30 minutes.
say
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so there are a couple of things. I mean, there are a lot of things to do. So let's quickly move it faster. Let me check for other stuffs. Here, uh, we have this euro.txt. I don't want that. Let me check for any sort of passwords. Password. Come on, paste. Let it be. Okay, now for the local vulnerability identification, there are a couple of tools available, such as JAWS, Watson, as well as Sherlock. So let's quickly try and check like what are the vulnerabilities available on this system, which we can use to gain the admin access. So I'm gonna import. Do I have Sherlock? Uh, I don't have Sherlock. Okay, quite interesting. Let me quickly go ahead and download it. by a well-known guy, Rastamouse. I'm gonna download this one. Uh, okay, let me run this. Now I will have to download it later. So, PowerShell either to come on, what happened to my copy paste? Okay, out file, sherlock.ps1. Okay. No, I have Sherlock, yeah. Now, now I have to import this Sherlock so that I can use this find all vulnerabilities module. What it should be import modules, yeah, import module Sherlock shouldn't give me. Okay. There is a problem with our file only. So we will have to use different files. Oh, this should work. I'm not sure why it is not working. I can download it totally. And then this should work, I guess. Okay, so this is working. So this is gonna take a couple of time. So we can ignore this for the error which we got over here, which says atmfd.dlm. We can ignore it right now. And in the vulnerability status, we see that it says not vulnerable or not supported. Again, not supported, not vulnerable. So not vulnerable, I see a lot of them. No worries. We also have this Watson available. Let's try to use this Watson. So Watson, it says that zero vulnerabilities found. Wow. That means we will have to use some other techniques to get the local admin. Never mind. And yeah, there are other stuffs as well, such as juicy potatoes, sweet potato, hot potato filters cooler. So there are so many potatoes in this world which we can use to perform privileged conditions pretty quickly. Uh, as we have little time left, let's look at domain enumeration part. Okay. Mm, yeah. So in Windows, we have one interesting stuff which is AMSI. AMSI stands for Anti-Malware Scanning Interface. So basically, it is an interface which allows the applications uh, to run, not to run, but to AMSI basically checks whether the script which I'm trying to execute, whether it is malicious or not. So how we can check whether the AMSI is enabled in my system or not. So for that, what we can do, we can quickly go to our machine and we will have to navigate to the system32, see Windows, System 32, and over here I'll have to check whether this ANSI.dll is available or not. So if this DLL file is available, that means that the system is protected with ANSI. But on the other hand, in the beginning of this session, I said that I have disabled all the antivirus and other stuff. Basically, I have created a group policy which disables all the antiviruses on the system, which is getting connected to the domain. So no matter if this AMC is enabled in my system, I will be able to execute any PowerShell file without any problem at all. And again, we can bypass this AMC using uh, this syntax which is available over here. Now let's move forward with our domain user enumeration. Yeah. So for that we will have to import PowerView. Okay. Now first let's check the domain users. Okay. Get domain user. So who all are the domain users available in the network? It usually takes some time. So I'm not sure why. This PowerView is gonna take a lot of little bit of time. So meanwhile, we will use another commands. Import PowerShell bypass. Okay. And we will wanna check for net domain. Let me import PowerView, and we will use this get net domain. So my domain name is local, which we already know. And from all these stuffs, I need this display name. I need this user principal name, and what other stuffs do I have? That count with our OCR name. Okay. So select C1, and admin, we have this interesting parameter which is admin count, and admin count. So I want only these two things for now. Again, it will take a little bit of time, and after that we will get the information. Okay, so the net domain is done. Okay. And we have, let's enumerate the domain policies. Like, what are the different domain policies which are applied? Get net domain, not net domain, it should be domain policy. And as always, this will gonna take forever to get the output. That's it. We will be patient. Yeah. So we got this domain user information. So this admin count is one. PRBT is also one. Peter is one, and this means that the admin has accessed this account earlier on. And we got this domain policy output as well. So as you can see, there are a couple of policies which are applied, which are system access. For system access, there are minimum password each, and other stuff. For Kerberos policy is that maximum ticket age is 10. That means ticket has usually 10 hours of expiration policies. I mean, by default, it expires after 10 hours. Then This is my GPU and this is my GPU display name. Okay. And let's check for this administrator. Get domain group domain group Windows. I'm going to check for beta.griffin first and I'll check for administrator. Admin forever. I'm gonna run it parallelly though. Come on, give me something. Hmm, I mean, I have a small question for all the pen testers out there. Do you guys also get this kind of what you say, this kind of delays or this slowness while doing the domain enumeration, or is it really- No, okay, no problem at all. Let's check for domain groups. Domain groups. Okay, mass spelling is bad. One, yeah, domain group. And I haven't got anything for administrator with small a. Let's check for capital A. I still haven't got any information for domain group. And not for administrator also. Doesn't matter. So by using Power View, we can check for domain groups, for domain group members. We can check for domain OUs. We can check what are the different computers which are available in the domain. So let's quickly check this out. And we can also check net sessions, like whether is there any current active session of a particular user available or not. And we can also enumerate these shares. There are different things which are available, such as share finder as well as file finder. And this tool will gonna take a lot of time to give me the output. And over here, this domain group information I got just now. So I specifically wanted this thing, which is CN name, normal name. It should be small. And user created and account type as ID. All other information are also there. Let's for now, let's check for the name only. Yeah. So while searching for this computer, I mean, what are the different computers connected to the domain name? We got a couple of information, such as we have this DC machine, which is Windows Server 2016 Data Center Revolution. Then we have this MS01, which is Windows 10. Again, like in the beginning of the session, I told you that there are two machines, which is OK level Windows, and the other one is the way legacy Windows. That legacy is not Windows XP, but it is Windows 7, full of different vulnerabilities. And over here, we got the domain group information, like what are the different domain groups available. So these are the groups: administrator, user group, backup operators, desktop users are there, domain admin, and machine. Okay, now let's quickly enumerate this file finder to check whether we have any interesting stuffs going on or not. So, no file finder. No file finder. It will gonna take a couple of minutes again. And what more we can do? We can check for the local domain access. Fine. Open admin access. And we can also enumerate the processes using Power View. And this is one of the other tool, which is AD Recon, which we can use to get all the information. I mean, this is for those users who are not much comfortable with command line interface. So what this AD Recon is gonna do, it's gonna generate me an helping HTML file, and we can then view it in our browser. Next up, we have like automation by tools. The enumeration part, we can automate it by using Pincastle or by using Bloodhound. We can use both. And then we have this lateral movement part. But for now, okay, we haven't got much information here. What about here? See, so now while searching for interesting files, we get to know that in a domain controller, there is a share name learning which has this password.txt file available. So now, as we already have, what you can say, the domain user credential, which is Peter.Griffin, let's quickly go ahead and try to enumerate the shares by using our Kali. So SNB map I'm going to use for that purpose, and let's try to enumerate. Authenticating. Okay. So now, as you can see that there is this learning share available, and it does have the read as well as write permission available. Wow. This should work. I mean, what is the command to get the shell assembly? Oh, no worries. Name of service not found, no problem at all. What more we can do? Uh, we can use SMB client now. SMB client for Peter Griffin, and the password is test at 123. So there are two couple of files, password.txt and test.txt. Let's download it. Password.txt, password saved, and get test.txt as well. Entity status object name not found while opening. Okay, my bad. Test.txt. Let's check what these files are. Okay, so this password.txt file has some credentials, which is test at 123, admin at 123, which is pretty weird. I mean, why would a user try to save their own hash in its own machine? Interesting. So let's do a small activity. I mean, before doing that small activity, let me read this test file as well. So in this test file, there is this my password is test at 123. Okay. So in PS exec for administrator, let's try to access it by using this test at 123 hash. Not hash with this password, and the attempt login is invalid due to bad username or authentication information. We also have another credential which is admin at 123. Let's try that. Admin at 123, and here we go. We got this anti-authority, and what is this host name? Host name is my PC01. So again, one learning information which we get from here is that never ever save your credential in your local machine. And one more thing, uh, we did saw that in the description part, like there are a couple of users available over here, but in the description there are some passwords which are stored, which is my pass is test at 123 and hello, my password is test. So it is recommended not to do any of this thing at all. Okay. All right. Now let me show you a small, what you can say, a small attack, which is, I mean, we have already, how many time we have? We have very little time also. We have only 5 minutes to wrap it up. So there are a couple of attacks as well while doing the lateral movement, which we can do, such as we can dump the SAM as well as system. And yeah, one more thing, while doing this lateral movement, because one thing we have to understand is that we will be needing the administrative access of a particular machine from where we are going to do this lateral movement. For example, on this Twitter.griffin machine, uh, we will gonna do a couple of different activities if time permits, such as LSC dump, pass the hash, pass the ticket using Mimicards and Rubies, then domain cache, PS remoting. There are a couple of different attacks for lateral movement. But in order to do these attacks, what we have need we need the local admin access because the PowerShell must be executed as an administrator. Then only we will be able to perform all these attacks. So we have this SAM system, and yeah, these are some stuff for lateral movement, and there are other more cool stuff ahead, which is domain privilege escalation, such as there are a couple more attacks such as DC sync, cover hosting, AS hosting, and zero logon. There are a couple of these attacks as well which we can perform. And for maintaining the persistence, we have this ticket based attack. And same as potatoes, we have a couple of tickets such as silver tickets, golden tickets, diamond tickets, which we can use to gain the persistence of a domain. Then we have the startup folders. We have this modifying shortcuts. And we also have one more attack such as DC shadow attacks. So I guess I am nearing the time limit. So I mean, before proceeding with all this attack, because it will again gonna take a couple of hours, 2 to 3 hours to demonstrate all these attacks, I'm gonna limit myself as of now. Maybe in the near future, if we get time slot available, we will be continuing with the lateral movement part. Okay, so yeah, that's all from my side.
Thank you for the talk. Yeah, let me- yeah. Thank you for the amazing talk. I see you have many, many,
There
many,
are
many, many, many,
there are
many
many
slides.
topics available.
Yeah, it was a very amazing talk. I hear many good responses from the people. Uh, yeah, for those who are watching, if you have any question, please place them in the chat. Now's the time, yeah, to ask any question if you have any, of course.
Yeah, eagerly waiting for the question. I mean, let's see if I'm able to solve any of the users, I mean, anyone's query or not, because I'm also not pretty much expert in AD attacks, but here and there in my previous company, I did got a couple of chances to perform the AD attack, and I wanted to share one small experience that that server was pretty old. It was server 2008, and there was one more server which was 2012. So instead of going ahead and doing all these attacks, such as domain enumeration, local enumeration, lateral movement, and other attacks, what we did, since we got to know the versions of the server, which was 2008 and 2012, we went ahead directly and used the zero logon attack. And what that zero logon, what happened is that we went ahead and we completely did two things. First, we extracted the admin hash, And later on, what we did, we scrapped the admin hash so that in the near future, any user can access those domain controller directly by using the username as admin and providing the password as null or without password. So zero logon was also one of the critical vulnerabilities at a certain point because it targets the authentication mechanism of the server. And that's why people most of the time say that keep updating our system, keep updating our system, because again, it was related to authentication. And after 6 to 7 months, this zero logon got patched. And that server was pretty old. So without any hustle, like within half an hour, we were able to get the domain admin pretty easily.
Ja, is goed hoor. Nee, ik weet niet. Ja, is goed.
Okay, so now
Okay,
waiting for the questions.
goed zo.
I'm
Well,
gonna
thank
go
you for
back.
your short story. Yeah, I don't see any question in the chat, so and we have like 10 minutes left, so yeah, if you want to do or share anything from your side, any idea that you could not do, it's now you have like 5 to 10 minutes to do it again, or
Okay.
still if you want to, but
Okay,
if
so
not,
I mean, if we have 5 to 10 minutes, let me show a couple of attacks. Okay, and I will try to be more quick. So in the lateral movement, we have a couple of attacks, such as, let me go to it, such as dumping the salmon system, LSA dumps, pass the hash, pass the ticket. There are a couple of more attacks also, which is overpass the hash attack, which basically uses the PTH as well as PTT both. Then we have this domain as a credentials, we have PSS remoting, we also have DC sync, we also have golden ticket, silver ticket attack. But one of the interesting attack which I wanted to show you is dumping the NTDS. So what exactly is this NTDS? NTDS is nothing but the new technology directory service. So this NTDS is nothing but a database. So now what happens in Windows is that whenever we goes ahead and we enter our credentials, that credentials gets verified either by local SAM system file, or either it goes ahead and get verified via AD. Okay. And there are a couple of authentication mechanisms also, such as Kerberos-based authentications as well as NTLM authentication, which we will not going to talk much about. Now, what exactly is this NTDS? So SAM and system is also a database, but that database is a local database. It is available on each and every system, and it stores their respective hashes, NTLM hashes. Whereas at the same time, this NTDS is also a database, but this NTDS is available in a domain controller, which means that if we have any of the domain admin credentials, we can easily dump the NTDS using crackmap exec, and we can get the admin hash pretty quickly. And what are the different things which these NTDS stores? Those are the information about this object, information about different applications, about different attributes, and our fan favorite is the credentials. So how to do it? So here is the command. By using the crackmap exec, we can easily do it. Let's go ahead and do it because I'm pretty much eager to do. So crackmap exec, I'm going to target this SMB. Then we have to specify our domain controller IP, which is 0.4. And for the user, I believe we have a couple of users. We have Peter.Griffin, which already is a domain admin. Let me write it down right now, which is domain admin by default. And we have this TV Griffin, which is a domain user. So let's use this domain user first. And let's check what will gonna happen. SPWSTV.Griffin. For password, I'm going to specify the same password which we identified earlier on. NTDS, DRS, UAPI. Let's check. Okay. So as you can see, this Trivi Griffin is not at all a domain admin. He's just a domain user. Let me verify it quickly. If I go ahead on this Stevie Griffin is a member. He is just a domain user. But still, as you can see, just by having a domain user credential, we can dump the NTDS database and we can capture the hash. Now that we have the administrator hash, what we can do? We can go ahead, do the pass the hash, and over here I can specify the hashes without credential, without admin credential, I can pass the hash and I can get the access. I am NT authority. Pretty easy, correct? So that's why it is important to safeguard the credentials of any user, no matter if it is a administrator, no matter if it is a normal user or domain user or domain admin user. It is important to have a proper password policies. So this is how we can easily dump the NTDs and we can get the hashes and we got the admin. The same attack can be done by different methods also. We will not gonna go much deeper right now. If time permits, let me check another simple attack. Yeah, let me talk about this domain cache. So basically, in a network, let's suppose that there are hundreds of PCs which are interconnected with a domain, and within that connected machines, let's say one or two machines got disconnected from the domain. So basically, what happens is that whenever user enters the credential goes to the AD. AD will gonna verify it, and after verification, it will gonna send the OK. It will gonna send the TGD tickets, which I'm not gonna use those technical terms. Instead, I'm gonna say that it will give me the thumbs up OK message, which will denotes that yes, I am a normal user, not a normal user, but I'm a legitimate user and I can access my system. Now, what if a computer gets disconnected from a domain? Still, are we able to log in into that machine? The answer is yes. No matter if my system is connected to a domain or not, we can still log in into our machine. And why it is possible? Because of cache. See, here is the thing. Whatever credentials we enter into our machine, if my machine is connected in the domain, okay. So whatever credentials we enter into a machine, it gets stored in a cache, and that cache is stored in my local machine only. So if a user, not a user, but if a attacker gets his hands on your system, and if he or she is able to execute many parts, then instead of dumping the login passwords or secrets or LSA dump, SAM system and all other stuff, what they can do, they can simply dump the cache and they will get the NTLM hash. By using that hash, they can pass the hash and get the access of the system. So this was one of the interesting thing which I have identified, not identified, but I have read about. Then another interesting stuff what we have is DCC Kerberos. Zero login is already done. And yeah, for the domain persistence, I wanted to focus on this modifying shortcuts. These shortcuts are nothing but these LNK files only. Okay, so like over here, where is my Windows? Yeah. Let me quickly go to this user trace.griffin, no, not Twitter, trace desktop and this malicious. See, uh, while doing the persistence, we have this one technique which is known as modifying shortcuts. So over here, what we do, we basically have these shortcut files available on the systems, or we can create one shortcut, which I have earlier on demonstrated how. And we have to simply go towards this, what you can say, we have to go to this properties, and we have to change this starting syntax. We have to replace this syntax with the one where we are downloading our malicious file and executing it, similar to this one. And by doing so, what we can do, we can simply add our we can simply download our payload directly from this Microsoft Edge shortcut. And once executed, we will going to get this reverse shell. And at the same time, we also have these startup folders. Like if I put the malicious file, malicious exe or malicious DLL file, which I can generate from CovalStrike, if I place them in the startup folder, and now it doesn't matter because my payload is in the startup folder. So whenever system gets restart, after a couple of minutes, let's say 1, 2, or maximum 5 minutes, I will gonna get back my reverse shell. I mean, I will get the reverse shell back because it is stored in the startup folder. And the startup folder location is this. For now, let me quickly check whether do I have anything in my startup folder or not. Let me minimize this and see program data. Okay, it is hidden. Program data. Microsoft menu, start menu, program. So startup. So as you can see, there isn't anything. So I can clearly say that no one can get the reversal of my system because I mean not get the reversal of my system, but no one will be able to do the persistence mechanism on my system because there isn't any malicious file in my startup. Now that doesn't mean that my system is not hacked. There are multiple different ways which I can use to identify whether my system got hacked or not. So yeah, I
One
guess
minute.
I'm gonna stop myself over here. It was very nice giving session on AD attacks.
Yeah,
And any
thank you for the
questions, do
amazing
let me
talk.
know.
Yeah, thank you for the amazing talk. Uh, yeah, I don't see any questions still, so I think it's very clear to everyone. I see that many
Yeah,
people enjoyed your talk. It was very interesting, they say in the chat. So I want to thank you for your talk and of course your time. Uh,
yeah.
and yeah, for the people who are watching, give a warm applause to the speaker. He deserves it. And yeah, I see you guys with the next talk. We take a little break of 5 minutes to prepare the next speaker, and uh, I hope to see you with the next talk. So one more time, applause for our current speaker. And yeah, if you want to say something to the audience, now is your time.
Yeah, I would like to say that thank you so much because see, uh, my talk was little bit lengthy. It was 2 hours, more than 2 hours, and still we were halfway. We haven't I mean, we were not able to demonstrate other privilege escalations attacks. Then there are more attacks for domain persistence, domain escalations. There are a couple of attacks which we were not able to see. And I mean, basically, I'm not able to cover them in 2 hours of frame. So in the near future, again, as I said earlier, that if we get another chance in 2024, or probably I can collaborate with the Visoran, and what we can do, we can have a small collaboration and we can upload those videos on either YouTube or either we can stream it on Twitch to cover all these different attacks. What do you say? Is it good?